Good morning, you're watching the Channel 9 Breakfast Show on Wednesday, the 23rd of April, St George's Day. In just a couple of minutes, the latest sport and news headlines, plus the chance to win the brand new England Rugby League kit that's only released today. But first, today's business news with Kevin Feddy, business editor of the Manchester Evening News, with his guest, Martin Portnoy from Ernst & Young. Gentlemen, good morning. Nice to see you again. Now, before we kind of digest what happened in the budget report yesterday and work out what it means to our fellow Mancunians, you've got some breaking business news.
Yeah, there's some news off the wires this morning, Baron, that's correct. ITV have announced that Michael Grade is going to be stepping down as chief executive later on this year. There's some trading figures from W.H. Smith, of course, the great traditional high street retailer, with a 5% fall in first half profits, but a reasonable outlook for their business for the second half of the year. And a winner in the recession has been Domino's Pizzas, and they've announced some strong trading figures today, showing their success is continuing. People are staying at home, they're not going out as much, ordering takeaways, and they're benefiting from that trend.
Excellent news. OK, we did mention, of course, it was the big budget announcement yesterday. Martin, good morning and welcome to the Channel 9 Breakfast Show.
Good morning.
What were the key points announced yesterday by Alistair Darling?
Mr Darling yesterday went through his predictions for the growth of the country. He believes that the recession will be over shortly towards the end of this year, and then next year we're going to be growing again. His figures, though, have come under some fire overnight. The IMF, for example, have said that they believe they're wildly optimistic, and the general consensus from business people seems to be Mr Darling doesn't have a good track record of predicting growth of the economy and how the economy is going to do, which has worried quite a few people. In specifics, I mean, the usual suspects of booze, cigarettes and cars will all suffer, so the man on the street pays more tax pretty quickly. And then the headline, which has really caught people's attention, is the 50% rate of tax for the higher earners. And really, this was a bit of a shock because people were expecting 45%, and it's now gone to 50%. And the feeling seems to be that the entrepreneur that Mr Brown was very proud of and trying to encourage over the years, now Mr Darling seems to be turning his back on that and wants to tax and spend, or rather spend first and then tax in the future, seems to be the new Labour.
This 50p tax, was this the showstopper of the budget announcement? Because there was going to be something, wasn't there?
It seems to be the one measure that they sort of have banked on to get the most money in, and that is what they're hoping will bring in enough money to allow them to spend. The hard thing to understand is that the feeling amongst commentators was when they were talking 45p in the pound, it wouldn't bring that much extra money in. So whether 50p will make enough of a difference, the extra 5%, remains to be seen. And, of course, the impact on the world economy, that people are so mobile, whether it just discourages people coming into the City of London and the higher earners and entrepreneurs start thinking maybe it's time to go and live abroad and pay less tax, that will become a debate again.
Absolutely. I know that's one of the worries, just taking a look at some of the papers that we're waking up to this morning, that our best business minds will go to work elsewhere for that reason. Kevin, what impacts will that have on local business?
Well, clearly, a lot of the entrepreneurial drive and success of the region has been created by high earners, people who've created businesses, created wealth, and the danger is they will go abroad or move their operations abroad and, for tax reasons, be based abroad, and that's going to leave a bit of a hole in the economy of the region.
As we thought about Alistair Darling's budget announcement, the devil would be in the detail. Have we had time to kind of sift through the numbers and work out if Mancunians are going to be better off after this budget announcement?
Well, it affects all manner of people across the whole population, and as Martin said, people will be paying more for their fuel, more for their cigarettes and tobacco products, more for their booze. In fact, the pub trade have been very vociferous in condemning that move. There are some benefits, perhaps, in the short term in terms of the scrappage scheme that we've seen relating to the trading of old cars. And there are some slight glimmers of hope in terms of investment for green technology, loft insulation schemes and so on, energy efficiency. But I think the overriding impression is that there's a bit of a squeeze.
Absolutely. Martin, I think it's fair to say that Alistair Darling really was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. Not everybody was going to be happy with the decisions he made anywhere. Is there anywhere that you think he's missed a trick?
Well, I think what's noticeable is there are certain industries that feel they've been left out completely. So I know the property industry is very critical of him at the moment because lots of measures that they put to him to simplify things and change things and make life simple, not necessarily raise or reduce the amount of tax he would get, but just to make life easier for people and encourage things, he just seems to have ignored a lot of that. He missed an opportunity, for example, to change the stamp duty system, which seems to be quite unfair, a slab system. The scrappage system, measures that Kevin mentioned, question, is that sufficient for the automotive industry? And then if you think of the freelancers, self-employed freelance contractors as an industry, it's been a focus of a lot of attack in the revenue over the last few years, yet it's not been mentioned at all in this economy and this budget about the economy.
Kevin, finally, we've heard these exorbitant numbers of borrowing that the government is going to do. How much of a gamble is that?
It is a huge gamble. The borrowing levels are soaring. And Alistair Darling is really banking on a recovery later on this year to try and offset the impact of that borrowing. The IMF, as Martin referred to, disagreed with his forecasts. It remains to be seen, but it is a huge gamble.
Absolutely.
Well, Martin and Kevin, thank you both very much for joining us this morning in trying to make sense of the budget and the numbers that have been thrown upon us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Time now for the latest news with James.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the top stories for you so far this Thursday. There's to be an independent review of the case involving 12 men questioned here in the Northwest in terror raids earlier this month. They've all now been released without charge. Lord Carlisle, who reviews terror laws, says he's going to examine the operation while memories of it are still fresh. A series of raids were brought forward after secret papers were photographed in the hands of a senior police officer in Downing Street. Greater Manchester's Chief Constable has been defending the operation.
Commentators and journalists and even sometimes retired police officers are able to speculate about what might be there. Well, my difficulty as a police officer, I can only operate, number one, being driven by my duty to protect the people of Greater Manchester, and then acting on the basis of can we gather the evidence, and that is what has been driving us. And we have not, I certainly have not conducted any speculation or anything like this at all. And what I would want to say about some of that speculation is I do not feel embarrassed or humiliated by what we've done because we've carried out our duty. And my officers, the officers of all the forces involved, have acted incredibly professionally. And there has been no disagreement between us and the security services. We have worked incredibly well together on this investigation and worked incredibly well with the other forces involved.
The Tories have admitted getting rid of Labour's new 50% income tax rate would not be a priority. It was announced in yesterday's budget as the Chancellor Alistair Darling tries to generate extra funds to tackle the country's record levels of borrowing. The opposition parties have branded his predictions that the country's economy will soon start growing again as a fantasy. A TV advert for the morning after pill will be screened for the first time tonight. The firm which makes Levenel One Step is promoting the fact that it's effective for up to 72 hours. Bosses say it's vital women know what help is available for them. It's about to get more expensive for people caught dodging fares on Manchester's trams. Metrolink are increasing the fines from next month, as Beverly Walkton now reports.
As from next month, fare dodgers will see their fines rise from £10 to £100, an increase of £90. Greater Manchester Passenger Transport Executive estimates that around 15% of people who travel on the Metrolink don't buy a ticket. Metrolink relies on customers buying a ticket before they board, and excuses like this just won't wash.
Sometimes excuse mine is there because sometimes I get it from my college, but before I buy a ticket, the tram is there. So if I don't get the tram, so I'll be late like 10-15 minutes, so I just get the tram. So if I get caught, they're going to ask me why I didn't get a ticket. I said the tram was there, so I just got in. So I'm fine, so that's wrong.
If passengers do pay the fine within 14 days, it will be reduced to £50.
We're very serious about fare evasion. Fare evasion, we believe, is a limit on Metrolink that we need to make sure that we get the revenue in. I mean, all the funds we get through revenue is going back into the system. As you've seen, lots of improvements that are going into the system. We can make a lot more improvement to the system if we make sure that everybody just pays a fair price to operate on Metrolink.
Metrolink has been running now since 1991 and is undergoing a major £100 million makeover between now and September, with every piece of track being replaced. Piccadilly is out of action while the work takes place, causing considerable delays for commuters travelling into the city centre. GMPTE say with 40 new trams, 200 new ticket machines, 4 new tram lines to Oldham, Rochdale, East Manchester, Droylsden, Chorlton and Media City, and even more rigorous policing, the Metrolink is on track to improve. Beverly Walkden for Channel M News.
It's been issued about giving 2 types of Bonjela to children. A health watchdog in charge of regulating medicines says it shouldn't be given to youngsters under 16. A report's found there's a theoretical risk it could cause a rare syndrome, which can damage the brain and the liver because of certain salts contained in the gel. All street cleaning services have been suspended in Manchester city centre. To mark St George's Day, a council worker dressed as St George will sit on a dragon to remind people that litter should be put in bins and not dropped on the pavement. Officials say it's been a good way of raising awareness in the past. That, as a series of events takes place to remember England's patron saint. There's already been a parade at the weekend. Later on, churches are being encouraged to fly their flags and also ring their bells to mark the day. If you are celebrating, do have a very happy St George's Day. That's all from me for now. Join me again at 12 noon for the Channel M lunchtime news, and don't forget we'll have a full roundup of the day's headlines with Andy Crane from 5 tonight. Now though, here's Byron and Mike with the sport.
Manchester United are in touching distance of the Premiership title after beating Portsmouth 2-0 last night. But it's not all good news for Sir Alex and his Red Devils, is it, Mike?
No, it's good news, first of all, as you say, 2-0. Rooney and Carrick right near the end. A pretty workmanlike performance, really, nothing special, but they underperformed and they got 3 points. They're back on top, 3 clear, a game in hand. I think they are well on course, despite the recent wobble, to reclaim that championship crown. But as you say, the bad news, Neville is out injured, as is O'Shea. They both came off yesterday, and Sir Alex Ferguson had said this morning they will be out for a few weeks, so perhaps they'll miss the end of the season. United are already in trouble at the back, so they've had a recent wobble in the Premiership. This could be the beginning of another one, so it will be an exciting end to the season. Champions League semi-final, first leg next week. Fergie's not going to like that.
It's got to be a worry for Gary Neville's career, really. He's just come back from injury. Could this sound the end of his professional playing?
Probably the beginning of the end. Maybe not of his professional playing career, but certainly at such a high level as Manchester United. But he always said, once I finish playing football, I will stop at United, because after United there really is nowhere else to go. So I think he'll get a job coaching somewhere, but I don't think we've seen the last of him.
Is there anywhere else to go for the agile Argentinian Tevez?
Well, there'll be plenty of places here. He's admitted he thinks his days at Old Trafford are numbered. Now, his loan deal with the Reds runs out next month. As of yet, the club haven't offered him a permanent deal, so he thinks he's on the way out. There will be no shortage of suitors for him. He'll probably end up in La Liga or in Serie A, but it will be a sad loss to the Premier League. I'll be one we've had to see him go.
Well, another man playing here in Manchester who, well, conjures up as much rumour and speculation is Robinho. Is he happy at Eastlands?
He's come out on his own website overnight and said he is happy at Eastlands. He wants to stay at Manchester City. He admitted it's been a hard transition for him to come over here and adapt to the hurly-burly, the hustle and bustle of the league, as he calls it. He hadn't scored all year until Sunday. That's given him a lot of confidence. He'll go away, lie on the beach somewhere for a couple of months, recharge his batteries, and hopefully we'll see him back in a light blue shirt next season.
Well, we just can't get away from money matters, whether it be in the news or on sport, and, well, especially now, the FA Cup final. What's that got to do with
final
money?
Tickets? They're not yet being distributed to the two final clubs, and yet certain websites on the continent are offering them for sale already. We found one this morning offering a seat in the Chelsea section for £1,040. Other websites are offering the Everton fans tickets between £713 and £845. The practice is illegal in this country, but those websites, we believe, are based in Spain. That's the way they're going to get around it.
But these are genuine tickets?
They are genuine tickets, yeah. So they have come, obviously, from somebody within the FA. And it's a bit embarrassing because the FA next month will launch an anti-tout campaign. And it looks like someone's let tickets slip out the back door. So, great campaign. Not the first time the FA have scored an own goal, is it?
No, it's not. OK, what about Samuel Eto'o?
Samuel Eto'o at Barcelona. He believes, well, he's told everybody he's turned down a £35 million move to Manchester City overnight, which was bad news for Man City. AC Milan also want him, as do Inter Milan, but he's come out and said, I want a new deal at Barcelona. So you do wonder if he's engineered this story himself just to make the people at Barca sit up. But if you rattle the cage at Barca, then that animal will come back and bite you, and he could soon be on his way out if he doesn't toe the party line there.
Yeah, he don't be throwing his the toys out of that pram, do you?
It's a big pram as well. Got to be careful with him.
OK, new centre-back for United.
A new centre-back for United. I hope to God he doesn't come. He's 17-year-old. He plays for Corinthians. He's valued at £5 million. His name is Jose Rodolfo Perez Ribeiro Dodo. And I don't want to keep saying that, so I hope he never comes to Old Trafford. Get rid of him now. I don't want to see him again.
No Dodos allowed.
No Dodos allowed. Well done, mate.
Thank you very much. OK, let's talk about the other Old Trafford now. And Lancs have been in action against Sussex.
Yeah.
It's day 3.
It's day 3 today. It's unbelievable batting performance and bowling performance for Lancashire down at Hove yesterday. They, in reply to Sussex 289 all out, they have so far got up to 209 for 4. Tremendous performance from James Anderson, taking 6 for 56. His best county figures for 5 years in reply. Chilton's added 72, Stephen Croft 59. Anderson took his last 3 wickets, 3 for 9, as Sussex lost their 5 remaining wickets for 42. So a batting collapse of England proportions there, quite appropriate on St George's Day.
OK, on to rugby union now, and Sale have a must-win game at the weekend. Desperately needed points, especially having one deducted from
Absolutely. Well, it's a must-win game, but it could prove completely pointless, really, for them, because they'd have been deducted that point for fielding an ineligible player. They got fined as well, and that £5,000 will drift into insignificance when you consider the money they will miss out on by not ending the season in top 4. They've got to get a 4-try bonus point win, which will be 5 points, and hope everybody above them gets absolutely trounced. It's virtually impossible. Chris Jones, one of my favourite players, he's remaining confident now.
For us, we've got to get 5 points. You know, for us, no listen to the radio, look what's happening. We've got to get 5 points. If we don't, then the results are irrelevant. So for us, it's quite easy. We can focus. Our job in hand is to win the game, get 4 tries, and that's all we need to concentrate on. Other teams, obviously, I mean, maybe they might be thinking, right, well, let's see what they've got, what points do we need to get. You know, their job might be a bit of maths in there, but for us, it's simple.
Playing away from home last day of the season is never an easy task, so I think we've got a real fighting chance, especially in front of our home crowd. We just need to put in a performance like we did on Friday, build on that, and I think it's, you know, we're all pretty positive about the situation and just looking to do whatever we can to ensure we give it the best possible chance.
And I guess the final word is, no matter what happens as well, you know, the emotion and so on, you're going to want to go out with a bang last game of the season in front of the home fans, send them away in the summer with happy thoughts.
Yeah, massively. You know, like I was a supporter of of Sale before I even played here, and I know what that home atmosphere, the last game, I know what sort of atmosphere it generates, and you know, I know what it's like to pay for a ticket and go and watch Sale. So yeah, I'm totally up for it. Believe me, the players are. We've been training well all week. You know, I've said it before. We're going to say farewell to a lot of decent players and a lot of good friends, and we just need to generate that. Well, it's not going to be in question. It's going to be an awesome day on Saturday. So I just can't wait to get stuck in.
And tune in tomorrow's breakfast show for more sport. But we'll finish off with a competition and sticking with rugby and moving on to league. If you fancy winning this brand new England Rugby League shirt, which has been released today, all you have to do is answer this question. What year was England Rugby League founded? Was it A, 1795, B, 1895, or C, 1995? Text the word shirt and the correct answer, A, B or C,
B.
to 88821. Stop it, Mike. Entries cost £1 plus your standard network charge. Lines close at midday tomorrow. Coming up after the break, a patriotic performance from Manchester's crooner Cole Page. One not to be missed. See you shortly.
B.